Yeah, what up? Today I'm going to show you how I replaced the rear knuckle shock mount bushing, which you might want to do if you run true coilovers on my G37 coupe. It's the same for a 370Z, right? It's probably the same for a lot of other Nissan cars, but I don't know if in those cars you care about running true coilovers. But that bushing takes a lot of abuse if you leave the factory one in, so SPL sells a solid one. And I'm just gonna go through, I've seen another video on this subject on YouTube, but they didn't go through the parts list very detailed of what you need to actually get this done. So that's what I'm gonna try to improve on with my video and show you the exact parts that I use to do this and hopefully save you some headache. Because when I started this, I had used one bolt from Lowe's, right? I got the first bushing out. I got the second, I got the SPL bushing about 90% of the way in, and the bolt snapped. So I didn't feel like driving to Lowe's again because it was late at night. Lowe's was closed and Home Depot was right by my house. So I went to Home Depot. I was like, fuck it. I bought 6 bolts, right? I snapped all of them shits. I snapped them all. So I was like, damn, that bushing must be really fucking stuck in there. This shit is fucked. And it stressed me out. So what I did was I was like, all right, I need to get some stronger bolts. So I went and I looked it up and I'm like, oh, all right, I probably should be using grade 8 bolts, which is what you should use for automotive applications, not installing something in an automotive application, but it's what you would mount something on your car with, etc. You know, something with less possibility of snapping. So what I did was I went to Lowe's and I got grade 8 6-inch 3/8 bolts. I'll show you those. I'll show you the part numbers. But that made the difference for me. I was able to do this install from front to back. So I'm going to show you the process. I do have to say I snapped. I didn't snap. The threads got a little messed up on the one bolt I use on this side. So I would say you're probably going to need 2. I bought 3. You might want to have 3 just in case. Return it if you don't need it. Keep it in the garage if, you know, like on some what if shit. But let me get into showing you how I went through all this. And, you know, hopefully this helps you out. All right, so I'm gonna go through the parts, but before I get started, I wanna say one thing. You probably wanna wear goggles and gloves, protective gear basically, because it takes a lot of force to pull that bushing out of the knuckle and to push it back in. So that's just a precaution. I wore gloves and goggles and, you know, it made it more of a pain in the ass, but it's better than losing a fucking eye or something, because when that bolt snaps, shit goes flying. So, you know, hopefully you can avoid that by buying the right shit. I'll show you. And you don't have to worry about the bolt snapping because it didn't snap for me when I used the grade 8 bolt. So let me go through this. The first thing I got was these 3/8 by 1 1/4. They're called thick Fender washers. You can see the side of them. They're pretty thick. So this is the part number. They're made by Hillman and the part number is 885527. I got them at Lowe's. I bought 6 of them. That was more than enough. There were times where I had them stacked on just so I could get the most out of the short amount of threads that were on there. I would say, you know, while you're there, they're cheap. Pick up 3 packs of them. Go crazy, get more if you want. All right, the next thing I bought to help with the metal-on-metal contact was some nylon washers. They're called flat washers nylon. Came in a pack of 3. The part number is H884588 from Hillman, just like the other washers. These are the nuts I got. They're also grade 8. They're 3/8 as well. They came in a pack of 3. The part number is H880269. Another thing from Hillman at Lowe's. And for this, you definitely want to get grade 8 because you're using grade 8 bolts. All right, and here's the bolt that I got. It's grade 8, 6 inches, 3/8 bolt. It's got a hex cap on it, and you can see the threading doesn't go the whole way. I don't think you need it to be threaded the whole way. It actually is probably stronger to have more metal. You possibly could use something bigger like a 7/16. I'm not sure, but the 3/8 did it for me, and I bought 3 of these. Like I said, I stripped out the threads on the final push getting the SPL bushing in. So, you know, I would think on a good day I would have needed 2 of these, possibly 3. So I bought 3. I got some extras now, but this is the bolt that I use. I would say this is the most important thing. It's got to be grade 8. It's Hillman. I got it from Lowe's. You might be able to get something similar or somewhere else. Same with the rest of this hardware, but this is what I used. Here's the part number for the bushings I used. SPL RKS Z33. Definitely would recommend SPL if you're going to take all the work to pull a bushing out and push one in. You might as well have something that you know is gonna last you. So this is my final parts list. Here's the ball joint kit that I used. It's from OTC. It's called the Superset. Might be a little bit overkill for this, but I grabbed it off of Craigslist. Brand new for cheaper than what it costs to get something at Harbor Freight, so you might want to look at that. You know, maybe the universe sent it to me because I needed to do this job. But I was happy to have all these parts. The only other thing I used was a 9/16 combination wrench and 2 ratchets with a deep and shallow 9/16 socket. So, you know, that should take care of everything. Flashlight, protective gear, and you're good. To show you my current setup for removing the OEM bushing, I got some steel Fender washers, 3/8 ones. They're pretty thick. I got about 6 of them, but I'm using 2 of them now. I got a Teflon washer in between the steel washers and the 26mm socket, which fits perfectly inside the knuckle. It's a little bit smaller than the bushing. I've got the receiving cup from the ball joint tool. I've got the, I think this is like remover or receiving end. You can see this OTC part number on here. And then I've got more washers and a grade 8 nut. So let me get back to cranking on this. All right, so that's what it looks like on the car. You can see I added more washers as I need to space it out more. This is almost all the way out. You can see the socket's almost all the way through, so I'm gonna keep cranking on this. All right, you can see how far along I am. Almost there, gonna get back to work. All right, bushing's out. You can see the socket popping through right here. And also I wanna say, if you're wondering why do I have a tow bucket in my car if I'm doing this modification. I have tow arms, I have camber arms, it's just not on the car right now. I'm putting them back after I'm done with all this. So there's the factory bushing popped out. I'm gonna get to work setting up the installation of the new bushing. I'll show you how that goes and how I exactly aligned it and what pieces I used. Again, I think the most important part of this, because this went way easier than the last time I tried it, is making sure you have a grade 8 bolt. Do not buy the cheapest shit at Home Depot. And like I said, that's why I was wearing the goggles, because when that shit snapped, shit went flying. So all right, so another step I'm gonna take real quick. I'm not gonna go crazy, but I'm just gonna use a Dremel tool and kind of clean this out a little bit. It says in the instructions that you might have to remove some kind of bumps or marks from removing this in or out. So that's just something I'm gonna do real quick. I don't know if it's necessary, and you don't wanna go crazy because this is aluminum, and you don't wanna be, you know, messing up the tolerance of the bushing. I'm just gonna, you know, wipe it out so paper towel comes out clean. Just make sure you have a clean surface for when you put the new bushing in. One thing that helped me installing when I did the other side is I have this, I guess, I don't know if it's an installer cup or receiver cup or what it is, but it's slightly offset and the knuckle is offset by 5 degrees. That's what I saw online. And the other video that I watched, somebody used they just used a washer as a spacer, but this kind of, you can line it up and you don't have to play around with the washers. I don't know how feasible it is to have this just for that purpose, but it's something to help me. This is the OTC part number. It's on here. It says 313970. But let me get this all set up and I'll show you what I did for the installation side. All right, so this is my setup for pushing the new bushing in. I got it about halfway in using a mallet. That's how it says in the instructions to get it started. There was a line that kind of showed the middle. You can't see it anymore because I started cranking on it, but got washer, or actually bolt, washer, socket, bushing, that cup piece that had the angle to it, and then one of the either receiving, installing, removal adapters that was out of the ball joint kit. And I also lubricated this with some, what is that, from 0W20 oil, and I also put the bushing in the freezer. It's been there for a couple of days. Yeah, I think like a couple hours, look at it frozen. But you know, to be safe, maybe do it overnight. But let me get back to getting this in here. All right, so almost done pushing this into the knuckle. At the end, you might have to add a couple washers. I haven't got to that point, but I have some ready to go to just, you know, when you run out of thread, just keep adding more washers. But yeah, I guess let me get back to it. It's just giving a little progress update. I don't know if it really matters, but it might just give everything a second to cool down. But you know, every few times I take a break from ratcheting this down, I kind of pull it apart, make sure everything's looking okay, like I don't have any problems, just check and make sure the bushing's going in straight, all that. You know, obviously at this point the bushing's got to be going in straight, but you know, just double check everything. Like I said, I don't know if it matters, but it's something I've been doing. All right, so here's the final shot of everything I used to push the SPL bushing in. Grade 8 nut, 3/16, 3 washers. I'll put a shot of the bag they came in. There's the OTC ball joint press tool. You can see the number on it that I used. There's a angled cup to line up with the knuckle, 26mm socket, another washer, and then my 6-inch 3/8 bolt, grade 8. So I was able to push this in. Let me show you. I'm gonna switch the camera. All right, so there's a final shot of the bushing installed. Has the little pieces that go in. Let me add those so you get the final picture. All right, and there's the final product. Also, I tried to use a ball joint tool. You'll see my ball joint tool right here, and I'll explain why you can't use that as well. Let me do that real quick. So the difficulty using a big ball joint tool like the C-clamp that comes with it is you have to remove this ball joint so you could lift up this upper control arm to even get the tool around the knuckle to press something in or out.